Imagine you're a pilot about to take off and you see a bunch of debris on the runway. What would you do? Well, June of 2024, an aircraft out of Bradley International started shedding parts. You'll never believe how this one turns out.
United 325, contact departure.
United 325, switch it.
So the situation is United 325 has just taken off out of Bradley. They're going to discover here in a minute or two that they shed some parts on the runway on takeoff.
And tower. Hey, tower, United 325. We're going to possibly have to come back to you. We're working a shoot here.
325, Roger. You want to stay in the tower pattern or go to approach?
And then let you know.
So something's wrong, and the pilots are trying to figure out what it is. It's going to turn out that one of their engines had an over temp. It exceeded what the EGT limit. Now, what's EGT? It's exhaust gas temperature. And there are parameters for which it's supposed to stay in. And they had a momentary exceedance. It came right back in, but that got their attention. So they're trying to figure out what caused that. Was it a bird strike? Was it? I don't know. And so they're saying, you know what, we think we're probably going to have to come back around and land. Now the tower goes into the mode of, do you want to stay with me? Do you want to go off to approach? How long do you think this is going to take? They're trying to get a feel for the nature of the situation. United has not declared an emergency yet, so they haven't even escalated it up to that level yet. We'll see if they do or not here in a minute.
United 325, we're with you. We have a number 2 engine GT overheat. The engine's running fine. Well, we're probably going to have to go back to Bradley. I got to make a couple of calls here.
So he said an EGT exceedance. That's exhaust gas temperature. That's how they measure the temperature of the gas coming out of the back of the engine. And that lets them know that they had an overtemp somewhere in the engine. And he said, nah, we pretty much sure we got to come back.
No problem. United 325, just maintain 4,000, fly heading 020. I'll key in play for the visual runway 24.
Okay, 4,020 heading United 325. We'll be back with you in a second.
So he's going to get them turning around, starting back to the airport. This is an Airbus 320, United Airlines flying it out of Bradley. They were on their way to Denver. They're not going to go all the way to Denver. They're going to turn around in a few minutes here. They're going to make an emergency landing back at
United 325,
Bradley.
just want to confirm you are not declaring an emergency at this time, correct?
Not this time, United 325.
So from the pilot's perspective, this is not that big a deal. They just had a little momentary exceedance. You know what? But let's go get it checked out. Let's have a maintenance guy or gal take a look at it. We'll see.
American 1975 Bradley Tower, turn right heading 280, runway 24, clear for takeoff.
Talking to
right
the
turn
traffic.
280, clear for takeoff 24, American 1975.
And Tower JetBlue 43533.
JetBlue 533 Bradley Tower, turn right heading 280.
Heading up heading up 238, but there are some debris on the runway. I don't know if it's on the aircraft in front of us, which is on the runway near to the center line.
Okay, so you hear this guy from JetBlue. JetBlue just took off, and as they're rotating off the runway, and they get handed off from tower, they're thinking, hey, we just saw debris on the runway. And now we didn't hit it, but there was debris on the runway, and he just cleared the airplane behind us to take off. So this guy's trying to get it out as fast as he can. He's getting a little tongue-tied, like, and he finally gets it out and says, we saw some debris. Good for him. This is excellent, excellent work. Because he's going to cancel the takeoff clearance for the other airplane.
American 1975, cancel takeoff clearance, runway 24, line up and wait, no traffic.
Good call on that one.
After that, cancel takeoff clearance, line up and wait for 24, American 1975.
Okay.
JetBlue 533, do you have any damage to your aircraft?
Negative, JetBlue 533.
533, roger, turn right heading 280, then contact departure.
All right, right turn heading 280 to departure. You have a good morning.
Good guy. That was a
Stay
heads
Are you
up.
able to squeak around the American that'll be holding a position on the runway? We just got a report of debris on, I would say, the last third of runway 24, if you're able to check that out before I launch this next departure.
So State 5 is probably one of the pickup trucks on the airport with an observer on the airport to go take a look at the runway. So typically if there's any issue with something that might be on the runway, sometimes there's animals wander out on the runway. They'll send one of these pickup trucks out to take a look. So that's exactly what he did with State 5.
Back in 1975, especially with that last report that we got from United, I just want to check this out and make sure everything's okay before we get you going.
Oh, yeah, we appreciate that. We want to make sure the runway is clear for us as well. Thank you. We'll wait here.
That's good.
United 325, I know you guys are still working out an issue. They did find aircraft parts on runway 24, so just a heads.
Okay. They found aircraft parts on runway 24. Somebody's shedding parts. It's probably the United flight. We're not sure about that yet. We're going to try to confirm. But United is got a problem with one of their engines, or they think they had momentarily. two and two put together.
So just a heads up for you as you guys are working out that. And runway 24 is currently closed. The state is working on cleaning up debris.
We are planning to come back to the field. How long do you think that's going to be?
Stand by. I'll get an update right now.
So everybody's stating their intentions. United hasn't declared an emergency yet, but they're saying, hey, I think we're going to come back and we're going to do full stop here at Bradley. We're not going to go to Denver. So everybody's got to put this new plan into motion. Takes a minute or two to get all that going, but everybody's being really on top of it right now.
Tower, we're going to be a few minutes. There's some large pieces out here.
All right, ARFF, that's the fire truck. And so the fire truck has gotten all the way out there now, and they're taking a look at it and they're going, hey, there's some pretty large pieces of metal out here on the runway. And we're going to see where this goes from here.
Stay 5, Roger. Do you have an estimate of how much time you need just so I can let approach now?
I don't. Half an hour.
So can you picture in your mind's eye a fire chief standing in his truck, or got his door open, he's got his hat pushed back, and he's looking at all these parts all over the place and going, I don't know, 30 minutes, half an hour? I guess he's just kind of wagging it. He's trying to assess what he sees in front of him.
Roger, I'll let them know.
5, just hearing that it's going to be about 30 minutes for the long runway 24 to open up, but they are going to keep runway 1533 open. So if you need the long runway, it'll be a little bit while they clean everything up, take pictures and stuff. If you want the short runway and you want to land as soon as possible, that will stay open.
Okay, any idea what the debris is? Was it high?
So the tower controller's given United all of his options. You can land on 1533 if you want, if you got to come back in a hurry. If you're not in a big hurry and you want to just hold for a little bit, you can come back to the big runway, but it's going to take at least half an hour to clean it off. Might take longer. They got to take pictures and all that stuff. Sometimes these things drag out a little bit. So I want to let you know what all your options are. What the pilots are concerned about right now is what's the nature of the debris that they found on the runway. Is it metal? Is it like little parts that came off the outside of the airplane? Or is it a tire? Now, why are they concerned about the difference? If it's a tire, they've already raised their tires up into the wheel well, right? And they want to make sure that when the wheels come down, they're intact. They don't want to touch down with a blown tire, or at least if they're going to have to, they want to know that ahead of time. So they're trying to ascertain, do you see tire parts down here or just metal parts?
Get right back to you.
Just curious, what's it look like?
Yeah, I'd rather not say over the frequency.
Okay, so another aircraft calls and says, just curious, what are you guys seeing down there? The fire chief says, I'd really rather not say. So why would he really rather not say? Well, I think this is, in a sense, kind of a little clash of cultures. The pilot aviation culture is very transparent, very wide open with these things. Like, just tell me what it is. So I've got to make some decisions here based on what it is that you all are seeing on the ground. The fire crew might not be the same culture. He might be a little apprehensive. I'm not speaking on his part. I'm just saying he might be a little apprehensive about saying something out loud that he might get wrong, and if it comes back to bite him later, he doesn't know. He's just going to be more cautious. So this guy's exercising an abundance of caution. The pilots are trying to ascertain what's going on. They're going to work it out here in a minute or two.
Okie doke.
Okie doke.
And approaching United 25, just to make this official, we are declaring an emergency.
Yeah. So now they've elevated
United
it to an
325,
emergency.
understand you declaring an emergency. Thank you. And when you are able, fuel remaining and persons on board, please.
So anytime there's a mayday call, a pan call, or just simply stating we're declaring an emergency, the proper way to do it is mayday, mayday, mayday. But these guys, it's fine. But they're saying they have an emergency. Then the tower or whoever's controlling them is going to want to know how many souls on board. That's the easiest way to figure out how many total people are on board. So there's no confusion about the difference between passengers and crew. It's total souls on board. How much fuel do you have on board? Why do they want to know that? Well, they want to know, number one, how long can you stay airborne if you have to? But number two, the fire chief wants to know how much fuel potentially he would have to contend with if there was, in worst case, a fire. So they're going to give it to him in hours. Most people want it in hours. Sometimes they want it in pounds. But they're going to get those two things. And then the third is, what are your intentions? So they're going to clarify all of this. And you can see on your screen here, it says EM on top of United 325. That now indicates to everybody looking at a scope that they're an emergency aircraft.
129 souls on board. We have have
129 souls on
we have
board.
5 hours and 20 minutes of fuel on board. Everything's running fine. The engine is within parameters, and we're way over landing weight, so we're not in a huge hurry to come back there. But we'll keep you posted on what
So you gave them all
we're
three:
doing.
souls on board, fuel state,
Unit
intentions
25,
just now.
you're way over landing weight. And again, the number of persons on board, and what are your intentions?
Okay, 229 souls on board, and the engine's running fine. Everything is normal. But we have had an EGT exceedance on number 2. We're curious what debris is on the runway. We don't know if we hit a bird or a slight right at V1, a swerve or anything, but we might have taken a bird down.
United 325, okay, thank you. And I'm just going to give you some delay vectors just to burn some weight. We'll keep you for runway 24 if you need some time. We are waiting on confirmation of what type of debris it is.
So the neat thing about this situation is it's not a panic. Nobody's in a huge rush here, which is nice. They have the luxury of time. But the controller is really doing a nice job talking to the pilot, hearing what the pilot has to say, and then verifying with the pilot what he's doing on his end. Where I've got, because they're not always on the same frequency. When they talk to the fire truck that's down on the ground, they're probably on a different frequency, so the pilot can't hear all that. So again, the tower is relaying, here's what we're doing, here's where I'm headed, I'll get back to you as soon as I got that information. This is an excellent scenario for an unfortunate situation.
Okay, yeah, we'd like to know what type of impact, lose the tire. You let us know what your vectors, but we can land overweight, that's not a problem. We just have to have data for it, which we can get, but yeah, we'll keep you posted when we're ready.
Okay, he's really concerned whether this was a tire or something else.
United 325, okay, so that sounds good. United 325, tower did just get back to us. On the runway, there are no markings on the sheet metal, so they can't identify where it came from.
Okay,
so
so there's no markings on the sheet metal. Now, he gave him a little bit of information. It's sheet metal that they found. You can guess it probably came from an airplane if it wasn't there before. But again, they're being, abundance of caution here, and we'll see how the airplane reacts to this.
Also runway.
So they get a little time.
American 1975, thank you. Turn right heading 280, then contact departure. Have a great day.
Right turn 280 degrees for American 1975. Everything okay with our United guys?
I love this part. There's another airplane out there that has been handed off to departure. They're on their way out of town. But there's like a camaraderie with pilots and crews, and they want to know, hey, is everything okay with our guys over there at United? You know what, even though I work for one company, everybody kind of cares about what goes on in the industry as a whole. And we really do have a bond or a brotherhood, a sisterhood as well, for all of the concerns. And I like this. It's a nice touch.
We'll find out momentarily. They're heading back to Bradley.
All right, thank you. 280 and we're going over to departure. Good luck today.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
See ya.
Approach United 325. We'd like to go ahead and have the equipment standing by for our arrival.
United 320.
Okay, what does he mean by the equipment? He's talking about the fire trucks to come out. And so now he's going to have to also brief his passengers, because whenever you touch down and all of the fire trucks come out, they've got their lights flashing. So it's rather exciting, at least to look at. There may be absolutely nothing wrong with your airplane, but they've got to turn all their lights on. And then you'll stop usually on the runway, or you'll just taxi off, and then they'll surround you while they're getting out, and then they're getting on their radios to talk back and forth to the flight crew. And you just want to brief the passengers on that to say, hey folks, everything's fine. Here's what to expect when we touch down. Nothing's wrong necessarily, just these people have to do their job, and they have a lot of flashing lights.
25, they will be standing by.
Roger, thank you.
Okay, they'll be there when you touch
Approach
down.
United 325 is ready to come in for the approach.
United 325, roger, turn left heading 040.
Left heading 0, Unit 325.
So can an airplane land overweight? Yes, it can. It has a maximum landing weight, but it can land over that in an emergency. They just have to run the numbers for it. The pilot's going to be a little bit more cautious when they put the airplane down and so forth, but they're going to come in and do an overweight landing here.
United 325, they just found some more debris on the departure end, so it's going to be runway 15 if you're ready to come in down now to runway 15. Unless you want runway 33, the winds right now are 230 at 3.
In case by chance we're missing a tire.
Okay, no problem, United 325. Did you want to do a low pass over runway 24 just to have the tower check it out?
So now they found more debris. someplace else. They're relaying that information to the airplane. Great. The pilot now it's reignited his concerns about the tire, that it might be a tire issue. So he asks one more time, are you sure it's not a tire? Now, one of the protocols or procedures that we have in place is if there's ever a problem with the landing gear, let's say you have some indication that all 3 gear didn't come down. You can do a low pass by the tower. And the tower will get the binoculars out, they'll take a look, and they'll say, yep, you're good, all 3 tires are down, or nope, the nose gear is down, or whatever it is. They'll report to you, and you'll do a low pass. Now, you have to have a really pretty good indication that you have a problem. They don't really have a problem at this point. There's nothing indicating that there's anything wrong with any of the tires. The captain's just, out of an abundance of caution, wants to double and triple check that they didn't find some sort of tire on the ground. He also doesn't want to spook everybody on the back of the airplane by doing a low pass by the tower unnecessarily. And this one's going to be unnecessary. So he's going to come back, here's my guess, and say, no, we aren't going to do that.
No, that's highly discouraged by the company.
It's highly discouraged.
So we prefer not to do that.
Yeah.
But let us know when 2-4 is open. Like I said, we have a perfectly good plane. We have a little bit of an EGT exceedance on engine design. So just let us know when 2-4 is open.
Right.
And another reason I want to land on the long runways, we are about 10,000 pounds, 12,000 pounds over max landing weight.
So they want the longest runway. They're willing to wait for it. They're going to burn off a little more fuel in the time. They don't want to spook everybody by flying by. It really is not that necessary to do so. They've communicated all that.
325, understand. And just want to confirm, engine 1 is okay?
Yeah, engine 1's fine, and engine 2 is fine. It just had a little bit of an EGT exceedance, but it's operating within limits right now.
Okay.
United 325, understood. Okay, I'm going to keep you in play for the long runway. I'll pass along any updates. I'll just turn left, heading of 200.
So now they're going to get some vectors around for a little bit, right? We'll speed this up for you. They're burning off some more gas.
You got it. United 325, the state did do their pass on runway 624. They just said they found small pieces of sheet metal on the departure end. Again, no significant markings to identify. They also did not find any rubber, any wheels. The runway did open, so when you're ready, you can expect a visual approach.
So that's the confirmation that the captain wanted, was no rubber in that. Okay, my tires are good. Runway 24 is open again. Let's get this thing going. Let's come on around and land.
Runway 24.
Okay, appreciate all that info, and we are ready to approach United 325.
Okay.
United 325.
Plenty of time to get set up for this.
Expect a visual approach, runway 24. I'll set you up on maybe a 10-mile left base to final on the localizer if that works for you.
That works, appreciate it.
Okay, visual approach to runway 24. Here they come.
United 325, nice job. Cleared visual approach, runway 24. Contact tower 120.3.
Okay, switch over to the
325,
tower.
cleared runway 24 and over to tower. Thanks for the help.
All right, here they come.
Tower United 325 is visual runway 24.
United 325, the tower, wind 220 at 4, runway 24, clear land.
Clear land, runway 2325.
You might be surprised at how calm everybody's voice is at this, but these are professionals. They do this stuff all the time. No big deal here. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. Here they are. They're touching down on the runway. Now, look at this. It says 6 at the end of the runway. They've taken the entire runway to roll out. That's absolutely perfectly normal. Now, if there wasn't any sort of problem, they'd probably take an earlier taxiway. But these guys are like, hey, you know what? There may be a problem with the tires. We're still not 100% sure about that. So they don't want to like slam on the brakes if they don't have to. They're just going to let it roll out all the way to the end, nice and gentle on the brakes. Okay, everything's fine. They're right on center line.
United 325, Bradley Tower, just say intention.
Yeah, 325, let's call the company. We're going to go back to a gate. We'll give you a call back.
Okay.
United 325,
We're
roger.
going to go back to a gate.
If airport ops could save that sheet metal for us, please, we'll want our maintenance folks to look at that and see what that is.
325, roger. And be advised that it appeared from here that something else seemed to be falling from the aircraft as well.
So they're concerned that, you know, they want to see the stuff that they found on the runway and that it belonged to them, and they're going to taxi back to the gate and have their maintenance folks take a look at it. Now, you know, you think, okay, this is all done. No, they just shed some more stuff on the runway, and the tower's going, it appears that there's even more parts that you just now shed when you touch down. All right, so this thing keeps going.
Just left of the center line at the intersection of runway 24 and 15. I just want to make sure you're okay to taxi to the gate.
Copy. I kind of missed what you said there, actually, but...
So the co-pilot talking there, he's like, what? Did you say that those were the old parts or they're new parts? And he's saying they're new parts. Oh, okay. You know, they're not expecting that. They're just kind of heading for the barn here. And
Right
now they've got another problem.
everything looks good as far as our engines and everything. So it looks like we are good to taxi to the gate.
325, Roger. Remain this frequency, taxi via Charlie Sierra to the ramp. The emergency vehicles will be following you in, and we'll let them know about the FOD.
Okay, what's FOD? FOD is called foreign object damage, and it's just a general term for any parts that you find. If you find little rocks or pebbles on a runway, anything like that. A cigarette butt would be a FOD. You know, not that anybody would be smoking out there, but that would anything that's not supposed to be there. Is FOD, and so they're referring to that. Now, I bet you this captain's going to change his mind here in a minute because he just said, we'll taxi back to the gate, but he's just now processing the new information that they just shed some more parts. He's not sure what parts or how that's going to develop, and you know what? If it was me, I'd say, hey, you know what? I think I'm just going to stop it right here, and let's shut down right here and have somebody tow us in. We'll see what he decides.
Copy that. Can you just say, so you saw something fall off as when we landed?
Affirmative. It appears something on, it was actually the right side of the aircraft, so it's just right of the center line right now at the intersection of runway 6 and 24. Okay. We'll collect that as well.
Okay, Charlie Sierra to the gate. Do you know what gate we're using today? Back.
And Tower United 325, we're going to stop right here. If rescue can come over and take a look at the number 2 engine on the right side of the aircraft.
So you notice the voice changed. That was probably the captain speaking now. He doesn't have time to relay it. He's just like, okay, I'm thinking... we're going to stop here. Have somebody take a look at us, Captain. It's a good call.
United 325, affirmative. We'll go right now.
Can I talk to them?
Yep.
Change the ground frequency 121.9er. He's in contact with all of them.
Okay, switching over.
So he wants to cut out the middleman. Let me just talk to the fire chief down there, see what he sees. Good.
Rescue, United 325, you copy?
United 325, go.
If you can take a look at the number 2 engine on the right side of the airplane, the tower said they saw some debris fall off as we went through the intersection of 1 and 5.
All right, roger that. We're off your right side. We're going to send 2 people out to do a visual inspection. Are you down to idle?
I got you in sight. We're at idle and parking brake is set. We'll stay in this configuration until you tell us otherwise.
Will do, sir. Thank you.
All right, now the fire truck's going to drive around, take a look. This gets resolved. They did actually shut down here at this point, have a tow truck or a tow machine come out and pull them into the gate. Good call on everybody's part. I love how kind of calm, cool, and collected everybody stays during this whole episode. Very professional, very measured. Nobody gets in a panic. They don't get ahead of themselves. All the training over all the years really comes to impact a situation like this, and it has a really nice resolution. Is this normal for parts to fall off an airplane? No, and I don't know what they found out in the long run about what actually happened. This is very unusual. I've probably only heard about this once or twice in a 40-year career, but at the end of the day, things can happen, and that's why we at this channel bring this stuff to you to let you know that there's professionals looking out for you, and they bring things, all of that to bear to always a great outcome. So at the end of the day, I've been flying, as I said, over 40 years, and I've never experienced a situation quite like this. But it's good to know that even if my aircraft started shedding parts, these aircraft are built to safely return to the ground. Now you know. I'm Captain Steeeve. Fly safe. Hear how friendly everybody's being on the radio? Hey, I could use some new friends. Hit the subscribe button and become Captain Steeve's new best friend.